Look at her doing the worm. I wrote all of this. It was all me, baby. There ain't no AI in here. I can't believe I'm actually holding my manuscript in my hand. It's a crappy manuscript. By golly, is it terrible? But it's better than all of my other stories with their first drafts. But seriously, look at her. Look at her. Hey friends, welcome in. My name is Autumn, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about my cozy fantasy project. I cannot wait to dive into this video, but also into this draft. Look at her in my hands in the flesh. I want to talk about all of this, but let me tell you how this video is going to be structured. So I want to talk a little bit about the ordering process and my whole thoughts behind why I chose to print this out. Staples is who I ended up using. I think you can get it done at a couple of other places. I'm not entirely sure. I also want to talk a little bit about this story and my June goals. I did talk about all of my stories in a very recent video, so I'll leave it linked down below if you want to check that out, but I'll talk a little bit about it here so we all know what's to come. Any future plans with the story, which that kind of goes hand in hand with what I just said. If I'm feeling brave, at the end of this video, I will share a little bit about what I've written inside the draft. I will share some lines of this story. She is 175 pages and she's a little more than 50,000 words. It's like 50,000 and some change. I'll leave it on the screen somewhere for you guys. I originally was going to just print this off at home. I had not used my printer in quite some time. It would have required to buy the ink. It would have required to buy more paper because I only had like 60 something pages. I don't own a hole puncher, so I would have had to have found a way to hole punch it or to have stapled all of the papers together. I just did not want the bother. I did not want to sit around and try to figure out how I was going to make this work when I could have just sent it off. They'll print it out and bind it however I chose. Yes, that does cost money. This was worth it for me in my finances and also for my sanity. I felt like just doing this was a lot simpler than trying to buy paper, trying to buy ink, and then, you know, doing all the things with the printer that we haven't used in forever. I played it safe and just got this printed out at Staples. The total final price for it was about $52. This literally took me 10 minutes to upload the file and then select what features I wanted. I just wanted this as soon as possible so I can start reading this draft and moving forward with the goals that I have for this story. Now, if you're not quite sure of the goals that I have for this story, I did talk about it in another video, which I'll leave linked down below. My goals for the summer for this story was to print it out, read through it, and mark it all up. Could I have done that with just the digital copy? Absolutely. But honestly, I wanted a break from looking at screens, printing it out, reading it with my eyeballs, just me and my eyeballs with paper. That honestly felt like the best option. For the summer, I plan to just read through it and take notes using different colored pens, which I have a whole bunch of different color pens in my really cutie patootie pencil pouch. When I do my initial read through, I want to just take notes in a different notebook, or that I can take in my phone. On the second time around, when I'm reading through it, I think I want to go ahead and start marking up the pages, think of what I wanted to take out, what I want to keep. Probably by September, I'll have 2 read-throughs done. I will start to think of how I want to restructure this story. I also wanted to find some comp titles for this, which I honestly haven't done, but I think I want to do the comp titles after I read through this. When I was going through rereading my notes and reflecting on when I wrote this story, a lot of the second half of the story more than likely going to have to be rewritten, but I do want to salvage as much of it as I can. It might just need more words added, but to explain the parts that I've already written. Maybe it doesn't all have to be tossed or completely rewritten. Maybe I just need to put more filler or more descriptions. I'm definitely going to have a clearer picture when I sit down and read through this draft a couple of times. I wanted to give all of us a sneak peek of the first line and the last line. Prologue. The witch hummed her favorite tune as she pulled rosemary from her garden. The trees overhead swung in the wind and the birdsong rang through the air. She loved spring. Well, she actually loved all the seasons for different reasons. But in the spring, her favorite herbs grew and the birds would come visit her often. She rarely had visitors though. In fact, she couldn't remember the last time she had a visitor that wasn't a four-legged creature or one with wings. That's the first line of the prologue. I could read you the first line of the first chapter. Why not that? Why not? Why not? Who's it gonna hurt? Blue chased his two toddlers around the one-bedroom cottage. His daughter, Lou, was screaming at the top of her lungs and running away from him. Todd, who was just learning how to walk, was now taking off his brown shirt and crawling around on all fours. I love it. I love this story so much. It just brings me joy. I don't know if I have an epilogue. The story might just end with a chapter. So let's see. Do we want the first line of the last chapter or the very last line of the entire thing? Oh, okay. I have an epilogue. We'll do the last chapter and then we'll do the epilogue. Chapter 25. Blue was the last one to leave the castle. He had taken his time making sure everyone else was out. He wanted to make sure everyone was safe and far away by the time he was ready to slip through the shadows. He would have to travel on foot, but he was ready for it. He had his route traced out on the map that Leah had given him. Before they said their final goodbyes, she had embraced him in a tight hug. Ooh, love it. I'm gonna read you the very last line of the book because why not? Let's see. So it's just some dialogue. Where should I start the dialogue? We're just gonna start the last sentence that I have. She said your story isn't done yet. There is no ending. Lou stood on her tiptoes and kissed her father on the cheek. She said you'll have to finish the story when you get back. I love this story so much. Y'all have no idea how fun this story was to write. So that's a little bit of the story. I hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit more about this. But that is everything I have for Project Traveling Bards, and we are at the end of the video. I want to say one final thing. For one of my other projects, which is my high fantasy adventure called Project Ice, I wanted to get a poster board to map out the entire story. Book 1 and book 2. Well, I want you guys to know that I got the poster board. Look at it, check them out. So we're gonna go ahead and check that goal off the list for my other story. Lots of writing stuff, lots of writing updates, lots of fun writing progress to be made in the months to come. That is everything that I have for you guys in this video. I want to thank you so much for watching. Let me know where you're at in your writing journey. If you've ever printed out a draft of your story, let me know that down in the comments below. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.